Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is sought right now, posted May 7th, 2017. To r/relationships. I, 27 female, just found out that my teammate, 24 male, plagiarized parts of our group thesis paper for graduation. I'm furious. What to do? We're enrolled in a master's program, and we're about to graduate this month. The four of us have been working on a thesis-type project for the past year, and our final paper, which was completed as a group, is due tomorrow. I volunteered to edit the final paper to make sure there weren't any grammatical errors and that it flows well between sections. I got to the first section that this person wrote, and while reading, I thought, this language sounds really technical and frankly more intellectual than what I usually hear out of his mouth. I saw that he had included a footnote, so I went to the PDF cited in the footnote, and I saw the problem. He had copied sentences and phrases from the source word for word without using quotation marks. I'm going through the entire 70-page paper, looking at each of his sections, and so far, I found at least 5 instances of him doing this. I also found a case where he did not include a source for a sentence he took straight out of an organization's website. It is taking me a long time to do this, and I expect I may have to pull an all-nighter to check each of his sentences in addition to all of the other copy editing I have to do. I called and texted him, no answer. Then I remembered he was on vacation and probably on a long-haul flight right now. Again, we are in a master's program, in corporate communications, at a grad school. It blows my mind that he thought this was okay to do. If this had been caught by the professor, we could all have been failed and not been able to graduate. What to do? I am so pissed right now. Should I write to the professor after the paper is submitted and demand that he be penalized for this? Should I let it go since we're about to graduate anyway and won't see each other again? I am so mad that I can't think straight right now. Too long didn't read, my teammate plagiarized parts of our final paper for graduation, which I caught in time. I'm furious and want to make him pay for this. Update, May 10th, 2017, 3 days later. Hey, my sincere thanks to everyone who replied to my original post with suggestions. I read every comment, though I didn't have the time to respond individually. Here's the update. About an hour and a half after I posted on the sub asking for advice, I did the following 3 things. 1. Sent an email to the entire group basically saying, hey, this is what I found. I don't want to accuse everyone of intentional plagiarism, but the school is certainly going to interpret it as such. I need everyone to double-check their sections and confirm to me that they either have no issues with their citations or that they are working to fix their citations. 2. Reached out to the professor requesting an urgent phone call. 3. Spent the entire night looking through the entire paper. And guess what I found? Yep. Another person in our group did the same thing with her section. It was actually even worse than what guy number 1 did because she would copy and paste information from the same source for 3 or 4 sentences in a row. And then she would only add the footnote at the end of the very last sentence in the paragraph. The next morning, Monday, 2 things happened. 1. Only one person in the group, the 4th person, replied to my email. He confirmed that he did not have any issues with citations in his parts, and volunteered to help me look through the entire paper and check citations against original sources. 2. Our advisor and I had a phone conversation. She was surprisingly accommodating about the whole thing. She said that since I was voluntarily bringing it to her attention before the paper was due, she would be willing to give us some leeway. She gave us a 12-hour extension for submitting the paper, and she promised that after she runs the paper through a plagiarism detection software, if she does spot anything that is suspect of plagiarism, she would discuss it with our team first before taking anything to the academic board or whatever it's called. Guy number 4 and I spent all of Monday going through the paper again and pulling every single source that every single person had cited, looking at the exact page numbers in the PDFs and making sure that citations were done correctly. It was an absolutely exhausting, draining, miserable process. Guy number 1 and girl number 2 were probably dead or something during this entire time because we didn't hear a peep from them. We submitted the paper by the extended deadline, and I think we're good to go. Even though I wish guy number 1 and girl number 2 had been penalized in some way because I worked so fucking hard to cover their asses. A couple of thoughts. 1. Don't believe anyone who says group projects are a taste of the real world. They are not. I've been working professionally for the last 6 years, and I can tell you, I have never worked with a single person, even government employees, who has been as incompetent, lazy, and just plain dim-witted fucknut as the people I've encountered in grad school. 2. We messed up long before this by not finishing our paper sooner. Honestly, for me, I was the only person in the group with a full-time job outside of this full-time master's program, so I've been extremely busy. But I know it's not a good enough excuse for procrastinating. I guess I just never imagined that grad students would need someone to educate them about what constitutes plagiarism. 3. Yes, pulling something directly from a source without using quotation marks, even if you have a footnote, is plagiarism. Our advisor confirmed. 4. Don't do group projects, period. I had the option to do a solo thesis, and I chose to go the capstone group project route because our program heavily discouraged the solo thesis option. Look where it got me. Thanks everyone, lesson learned. Never talking to these fuckers again. Too long didn't read. We got an extension from our advisor to double check and rework the thesis/capstone. We submitted it, and now we should be good to go for graduation. Final comments, feminine plural. Honestly, if your groupmates weren't willing to correct their citations and avoid plagiarism after you sent them a very explicit email about the matter, you should totally report them, especially the first guy. This isn't some small-time group project, this is your fucking thesis paper. Why the ever-loving fuck would you ever think that's possibly a good time to cheat? These children don't deserve to be in a master's program, let alone graduate from it. These are the kinds of situations that make academia feel like a fucking joke sometimes. OP responds, I gave my advisor the names of the 2 problem makers and described why they were problematic. But she didn't seem to care that much, at least based on how she sounded over the phone. Her attitude was more like, oh, okay, I understand you have a problem. Why don't I give you a little more time to work on the paper and get back to me when you have your shit together? So, I'm not sure how much support I'd get if I tried to run this up the flagpole. I don't blame OP for being this frustrated both with the professor and with their teammates because the professor just doesn't really seem to give a damn, just from what OP described of, oh, plagiarism, sure, whatever. Like, that's comforting. Great. Like the exact thing that every professor just drills into your head that you could get kicked out of university for doing. You're just kind of shrugging and calling it good, despite the fact that this is being brought to your attention. I suppose it only matters if you catch them, I guess. But the worst part on top of that is the fact that OP is the one having to clean up the mess with guy number 4, and they're just MIA, not giving a shit. Like, y'all went on vacation before your thesis was submitted? I'd be fucking livid and feel cheated. Like, I put all this work in so I can graduate and you guys don't do jack shit, and you get to graduate too, from the same program and the same title? I don't think I'd be able to look at my degree with pride after having an instance like this. I would just be like, shit. Like, yeah, sure, I graduated with my master's and it looks great on paper, but I know for a fact those 2 nitwits are just wandering about with the same exact piece of paper with their name on it, claiming the same exact accolades, when I'm the one that bailed them out. Group projects suck. I know I've definitely shared ad nauseum a lot of the experiences I've had in group projects through both high school and college, and just how quickly they can go from 0 to -100. This post was collected by Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is, I'm keeping the garlic. The original OP is Amelia S507, posted in r/weird and r/today I fucked up, originally appearing May 22nd, 2026. OP asks, why do ants love my Jasper? Editor's note, Jasper is a gemstone often used for decoration. I don't understand. I was going to clean my windowsill and found like 6 ants on my Jasper. The crazy thing is, I cleaned my windowsill earlier today and there were ants on them too. I cleaned them off Now there are none. It's so strange. This is a tiny nugget I found at the Crater of Diamonds State Park in Arkansas back in 2019. I've had it for years. It's never attracted ants before. I'm so confused. OP shares this photo of their Jasper covered in ants. Some comments. User Lowland Demon comments, I don't know anything about Jasper, but I know about ants. Is it possible the stone is holding water, like salt rock would hold water? Does it weep ever? Maybe it rained recently on the windowsill. OP responds, yes, it leaves a crystallized ring that I'm actually in the process of scraping off my windowsill right now. I'm soaking the rock to see what's up. Crying emoji. User Distorted Crag comments, Jasper is quartz, which isn't easily water soluble. OP responds, I'm so fucking confused. What have I been carrying around this whole time then? Crying emoji. User That Guy from Vancouver comments, is there a chance it's actually sugar or like a dried plum? OP responds, I've had it for years and had it identified by the staff at the state park. It is definitely a rock. And if I've been carrying around a dried plum under false guise as a rock, I'm gonna be pissed. This thing came halfway across the country with me and I've had it for 7 years. OP replies to the same comment 5 minutes later. Well, it's not a rock, I guess. I soaked it and now it's squishy. I'm not putting this thing in my mouth. OP then shares this image, which is just this purple thing that is definitely not Jasper. Update, 20 minutes from the original post. Update, I smelled it. It's a fucking black licorice jelly bean. I've been carrying around a jelly bean covered in Arkansas dirt for 7 years under the impression it was a rock. I hate this. I hate life. I hate myself. Edit, I'm dying laughing at all the comments. I'm so glad my revelation has brought so many of you joy. I will be sure to wash all my rocks from now on to verify they're not just jelly beans. Some of OP's comments. This site sucks comments. What the fuck am I witnessing here? OP responds, I don't know. I'm calling my mom right now and I'm gonna ask her to take a photo of my desk at home and see if the real Jasper is there where I think it is, or if this is actually the Jasper and I've been an idiot carrying around a jelly bean. Update, comment 2, same day, about 40 minutes from the original post. Update, this is the real rock. Thank you, Mom, for the photo. When I was moving, I must have grabbed the jelly bean, which I'm still not sure is something I acquired at the state park, or if it fell amongst my rocks and I assumed it a rock by accident because it was amongst them. I've had a jelly bean on display on my windowsill for over 6 months. Good night. OP then shares a photo of the actual Jasper, which, you know, is very much, that's a rock that doesn't have any hairs or weird sticky bits on it. OP adds, to all of your guys' advice, I will be keeping the jelly bean for the memories in a plastic bag so the ants can't have it. Of course, the jelly bean was rock hard and only became soft and had an anise smell once I'd soaked it in water. Also, I did not keep it in my pocket. It has sat on my windowsill this whole time. OP posts an image of the bagged bean, which, actually, now that it's been cleaned, does in fact look like a rock, and the mistake is understandable. One of OP's comments, Trail Mom Cat comments, OP, I just want to say I'm having the worst month I've had since COVID killed off quite a few family members in 2021. Your post made me laugh so fucking hard after I've been crying for half an hour and hopped on Reddit for a distraction. I hope you keep the jelly bean in its own little display with a printed label and everything, LOL. Sincerely, I thank you for the laugh. OP responds, I'm glad to hear this brought you joy, and the funny thing is that I work at a museum, so I could make a real label for it and everything. OP adds in an additional comment. No, this is legit genuine. The reason for the small size of the rock is because I found it myself at a state park, so I kept it for the memory. I typically also only collect larger size rocks, but because this one, the real one, is from a vacation, I kept it. I also know the name and location of the real bit of Jasper. I have because it's one of my rocks, and I just told my mom to find the small red one. It was one of those moments where it looked similar enough to my memory of my Jasper that I just never questioned it. until I noticed a bunch of ants on it. Maybe hindsight makes it look less like a rock, but I swear to God, it looked completely normal. Summation post, May 23rd, 2026, the next day. I was recommended to post this here as my original post, linky, on r/weird was deleted by the mods to the dismay of many. So he's a fucking Reddit moderator. Editor's note, original post removed since it repeats what OP had posted. It was only after many kind people gently letting me know that my rock was not in fact a rock that I should attempt to figure out what this thing was. I ended up soaking it in water, which caused the rock to lose its red color and become squishy. I became suspicious, so I stuck my fingernail in it and tore it in half. Then, despite many people begging me to lick it or eat it, I smelled it. Upon smelling it, this was my reaction. Pulled from a previous comment. Update, I smelled it. It's a fucking black licorice jelly bean. I've been carrying around a jelly bean covered in Arkansas dirt for 7 years under the impression it was a rock. I hate this. I hate life. I hate myself. I then had the actual rock located, which was similar in color and size at my parents' house. Something when I was moving, I must have grabbed a jelly bean instead of the actual rock, and by assuming it was what I thought it was, never questioned it. So it sat on my windowsill for 6 months. It had never attracted ants before because the weather had been so cool. But it warmed up over the past few days, and the ants swarmed it, which made me curious, so I snapped a photo and put it up on r/weird. And then realized, in front of 10,000 people, what I thought was my beloved Jasper was actually a crusty old jelly bean. Too long didn't read, I kept what I thought was a piece of Jasper on my windowsill for 6 months, only to discover it was actually a black licorice jelly bean. I posted it on Reddit, and thousands of people watched in real time as I realized this. I thought ants were swarming it because of some weird science rock reaction. I am an idiot. OP's comments. For context, the jelly bean in the rock. Which OP then posts this image, and it's the classic Pam meme from The Office. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture. So even though the jelly bean obviously has some weird hairy bits on it, and is just kind of gross looking, those do look shockingly similar to one another. And it is entirely understandable. I am happy for OP that the real Jasper at home actually still exists and was just in their collection, and that they hadn't just, for some reason or somehow, in Arkansas in a state park, picked up a jelly bean, took it to a park ranger, and the guy looked her in the eyes and said, "Yeah, Jasper." And 7 years later it gets swarmed by ants and the truth is revealed. Thankfully, it's not that scenario. I still wonder where the jelly bean initially came from, but at least the rock exists. This post was collected by Garden Geo. The original OP is No More Miniatures, posted in r/Am I the Asshole, April 24th, 2019. Would I be the asshole if I told my daughter to find a different hobby? My daughter, Anne, 17, has been obsessed with building miniatures ever since she saw Hereditary a few months back. Since then, she's probably spent close to $500 on miniature sets from Amazon, Hobby Lobby, and Etsy. All of this money comes from her job at a local movie theater, so I can't exactly cut her off. I can't explain why, but something about it drives me up the fucking wall. Maybe it's because Toni Collette was so creepy. Maybe I just want to spend some quality time with my daughter instead of watching her waste her life in her bedroom. I hear my sister talk about dropping her daughter off at soccer, or how her son's the lead in the school play, and then think about how my daughter is upstairs building a tiny cottage with tweezers. She hasn't ever really shown interest in any hobbies before, so I thought it would be grateful that she's finally good at something. But mostly, I'm just annoyed. Her grades are fine, B's, her chores are always done, but mostly, every second of her spare time is spent putting together miniatures. I try to ask her if she'd like to go for a walk with me or sign up for cheerleading, but she always says no. My husband thinks it's sweet and has started letting her put them around the house and in his office at work. Every day, I drink coffee next to a $60 miniature greenhouse and think about when the last time I had a genuine conversation with my daughter that didn't revolve around the merits of craft glue versus hot glue was. I know I'm probably the asshole, but Would I be the asshole if I asked her to find a different hobby that might help her in life? Like something she could stick on a resume? I mean, depending on the career path, like an electrician or electrical engineer or something that involves incredible attention to detail and fine motor skills, yeah, that's worth putting on a resume. Comments. Commenter 1. You're the asshole. Your daughter has found something she loves and you're not being supportive. She's not doing drugs. Why aren't you happy that she has an interest? Commenter 2. You're the asshole. She has a hobby and is a good kid. It could lead to a career, prop design, architectural design, etc. Is cheerleading that much better, or does it just play into some unfulfilled popularity fantasy of yours? Opie responds, I was popular growing up, LMAO. Maybe I am the asshole here, but sue me for wanting my daughter to experience first dates and football games and going to prom with her friends and weekend sleepovers. It's heartbreaking knowing your child doesn't have a ton of friends. Comment 3. You're the asshole. If you want to spend more time with her, do it. Go chat with her while she's working. It doesn't have to be about models, maybe even join her in making them. Parents getting involved in their child's hobby is super normal. Parents telling their kid to stop doing their perfectly safe and normal hobby just because they don't like it is not. You admit it's not causing problems with her grades or anything, so there's no problems. Hobbies aren't for resumes. They're for fun. What the fuck kind of hobbies did you have as a 17-year-old that you put on your resume? Unless you woodworked and went into carpentry or something like that, practically no hobby is going to relate to your job. OP responds, I was on the debate team, the dance team, the creative writing club. I did a lot of things that got me into the world and meeting new, interesting people. I know a lot of people are going to assume I'm trolling for attention because I can see how it looks like I'm the asshole. But I guess I'm just worried that she's going to head off in the real world someday after missing the best days of her life with nothing to really show for it. I want her to have a good head start on things, and this is just making her dig her heels more into her comfort zone. Comment 4. You're the asshole. We have hobbies as an escape we can enjoy, not for resume fodder. Commenter 5. Right, this could be good for resume. Speaking as a dentist, when I was applying for school, it was important you had hobbies that showed you work with your hands and have good fine motor skills. This would be perfect for that. That's what I was saying. Commenter 6. Museum conservation. The fine motor skills are awesome. My friend got into a conservation program with no relevant schooling just because she had the chutzpah to bring her tiny detailed embroidery work into the interview. Shows her fine motor skills, attention to detail, incredibly sustained focus. Now she's the conservator at a world-class national museum. These are just more examples I couldn't think of on the fly, hell yeah. Commenter 7. Yeah, you're the asshole. Attention to detail, craftsmanship, focus, self-motivation, appreciating beauty in things many don't. These are all valuable, even if the literal miniature building doesn't go anywhere. Update. 5 months later. Belated update to a post that was largely considered trolling, but wasn't. I won't lie when I say that I immediately ignored the majority of you telling me I was the asshole. Or maybe ignore is the wrong word. I think I expected that from the get-go, so being told I peaked in high school and should get fucked along with all the plastic cheerleader wannabe stay-at-home moms rolled off my back. But there were a few of you that did make me think long and hard about my relationship with my daughter and what sort of model I was setting for her. There was one comment in particular that's been sort of lost to the flood. If you can find it, I'd surely appreciate that. That mentioned my writing and how well it read, almost like a book. Maybe it's self-absorbed, but that's really what made me stop for a moment. I've had to sacrifice a lot to get my family where they are today. I won't get into details because I'm sure it would be boring and pretentious and might make you all feel that I'm just trying to garner sympathy after being such a bitch. But it did involve giving up my dreams in order to make sure that there was food on the table. I gave myself some time and space to think and realized the problem stemmed from me, not her. Surprise! I was bitter that everyone else seemed free to chase their passions when I had to work at things I hated for the things we needed. It seemed childish to me to be so selfish as to enjoy your free time when you could be making an effort for your family instead. That's neither here nor there, but it definitely wasn't my daughter's fault that I was so resentful. I like to think she was relatively unaware of my concerns with her hobbies. I never voiced my opinion one way or another and always drove her to Michael's, which is basically just another Hobby Lobby. But I can say with certainty that our relationship has only improved in the last few months. I helped her build a miniature restaurant last Saturday, and I've got a fun little carnival on my nightstand as I type this. I can't regain the time I've lost, but I can make sure she doesn't have to live the life I'm currently living. Thanks for everything. Kind of a sad but hopeful update. It's sad to find out that the reason why OP was so resentful of her hobby was because it was jealousy. It was hating the fact that that's the stuff that she wanted to be able to do, to be a creative writer or to enjoy aspects of her creativity that she was never allowed to explore, and instead had to buckle up so she could afford to put food on the table for her family. I hope that because of how well this ended, that OP's actually able to explore a hobby of her own, and take some time to explore those aspects that she had to sweep under the rug or shove in a closet because it wasn't economical or it wasn't worth pursuing because mouths need to be fed. Good luck, OP, and I hope you find your hobby. This post was collected by Shark Ava, and their tagline is, "You get what you pay for and Reddit is free." The original OP's adventurous Cap 8649 posted to r/relationships the 8th of February 2026. My girlfriend, 23 female, seems genuinely disgusted by my interests, and I, 25 male, am starting to feel ashamed of myself. How do I address this? My girlfriend, 23 female, and I, 25 male, have been dating for about a year now. I love her a lot, and I genuinely care about her deeply. I see her as my partner and my best friend, and I've always imagined a future with her. We share similar goals, values, and aspirations, and most of the time, our relationship feels supportive and loving. That is why this situation has been weighing on me more and more, because it feels at odds with how close I thought we were. I'm kind of a nerd. Not extreme, but my interests are things like superheroes, anime and manga, games, and D&D. These are things I have liked for a long time, and they're a big part of how I relax and enjoy myself. She is pretty much the opposite. She's more into celebrity culture, going out, fashion, luxury, or trendy things. I don't have a problem with that at all, and I've always tried to be supportive. The problem is that whenever I bring up my interests, she reacts very negatively. She'll scoff, say ew, or look genuinely annoyed. At first, I thought she was just teasing, so I tried to play along with it as a joke. But she actually gets upset when I do. She's told me that she finds these interests unattractive and associates them with guys who have bad mindsets like misogynists or incels. That really hurt. I do not identify with any of that, and I do not think my hobbies say anything about my values or how I treat women. I'm not asking her to like the same things I like, I just want basic respect and not to feel judged or gross for enjoying them. There have also been moments that make me wonder if this is partly about image. For example, I'm using a very old iPhone and want to upgrade to a flagship Android phone. She keeps pushing me to get an iPhone instead, even if it's not the latest model. She says this is because she prefers using iMessage, but in my country, iPhones are also a status symbol. She's mentioned before that appearances matter a lot to her because of how she grew up, which makes me unsure what the real issue is. Lately, I notice that I hesitate to talk about things I enjoy around her, or I downplay parts of myself to avoid that reaction. I do not want to feel ashamed of who I am in my own relationship. How do I bring this up in a way that sets boundaries without turning it into a fight? Is this something that can realistically be worked through, or does this point to a deeper incompatibility? Too long didn't read. I love my girlfriend and our relationship is mostly good. But she reacts with disgust towards my interests and associates them with negative stereotypes. Combined with her focus on appearances, it's making me feel judged and ashamed of parts of myself. I'm not sure how to set boundaries or whether this points to a deeper incompatibility. Comments: masticating sheep. She honestly just doesn't sound very nice. There are plenty of nice women out there who like the same things you do, or at least can appreciate that you like them. But once someone starts saying, ew, at 1/3 your personality, the relationship becomes untenable. Imagine spending the rest of your life hearing that. I certainly couldn't deal with it. User, it's effing cold here! Comments. Appropriate times for your partner to respond, ew. The cat just vomited in our bed. I just sat on a wet seat. I definitely just got neurovirus from the Finnish hockey team. What the fuck? Apparently that was actually a pretty big deal. Neurovirus was really easily able to spread through hockey teams like wildfire because it's a close contact sport. Damn. Inappropriate times. Hey, I want to share some of myself with you. User YellowStar93 comments, I'm confused how you even started dating this girl if y'all are so different. Like, what do you talk about? Sounds boring and demoralizing. Lofi responds, we bonded over food and movies. We're both big cinephiles, and I love cooking while she enjoys going out to try new food. We also share similar life goals, which is why it's hard for me. The issue isn't lack of overlap, it's feeling judged for certain interests. User Fiery Valkyrie comments, is this what you want for the next 50 years? Someone who says ew every time you talk about something you enjoy? Someone who thinks your interests make you unattractive? Don't settle for someone who makes you feel bad about yourself. Comment from user, wait, don't tell me. You can do infinitely better with someone who doesn't act like a child. Update, 7 days later. Posting an update because a lot of people commented and DM'd. We talked, like actually talked. Not just service level fixing things for the night. I told her straight up how it feels when she shits on my interests, that it's not just a small joke to me. Every time she scoffs or says ew, it chips away at me and makes me hesitant to share parts of myself. I told her I'm scared, that if it kept happening, it could build resentment over time, and that is not something I want in our relationship. She listened, and owned up to it. She explained that a lot of people she's encountered who are really into those same hobbies have made misogynistic remarks or behaved in ways that made her uncomfortable. Because of those experiences, she built this association in her head, and part of her reaction came from being afraid I might share those traits or eventually show them. I told her I understood where that fear came from, but that applying it to me felt unfair. I explained that it felt like I was being judged based on a stereotype rather than who I actually am. I told her she knows me well enough by now to know I'm not like those people. The conversation got emotional and deeper than just hobbies. We talked about insecurities, fears, and how we affect each other. It got heavy. We both ended up crying, and we agreed to be more mindful with how we speak to each other, including her not dismissing the things I enjoy. Fast forward to recently, I was telling her about my day and kind of testing the waters without making a big deal out of it. I mentioned I watched an anime while working. I work remotely. Normally that might get a reaction, but this time she just asked about it. She asked if it was something I watched as a kid and whether I enjoyed it. No scoffing, no ew, just curiosity. That sounds small, but I noticed it immediately and appreciated it a lot. I'm not declaring victory or anything, I just see it as a positive step and I hope it reflects a real shift rather than something temporary. Also, addressing something I saw a lot, people say I'm putting up with her because she's hot or calling her shallow. Yes, I think she is conventionally attractive, but no, that is not why I'm with her. And no, she's not shallow. She enjoys fashion and material things. That's just part of how she expresses herself and how she wants to be seen. It has never hurt her fiancés. Oh, that is not what that says. Damn. It has never hurt her finances, and she has always been mindful about spending. She talks things through with me before buying stuff, cheap or expensive. Honestly, I do not think that this is that different from how many of us express ourselves through our hobbies. People buy expensive collectibles or gear. Yes, it is for personal enjoyment, but we also enjoy when others appreciate it or think it's cool. Wanting to be seen or validated is human, not something exclusive to one type of interest. I'm not pretending everything is magically solved now. I just wanted to share that we had an honest conversation, emotions were on the table, accountability happened on both sides, and I've seen a small behavioral shift since. I'm paying attention to consistency going forward. Appreciate everyone who took the time to respond. Too long didn't read. We had an honest talk about how her reactions to my interests were hurting me. She explained where her assumptions came from, and we both agreed to be more mindful going forward. I've already seen a small positive shift, and I'm hopeful it sticks. Comments. Building Efficient 306. Sounds like you handled this really well, honestly. Having that kind of vulnerable conversation where both people can cry and actually hear each other is pretty rare. The fact that she was able to connect her reactions to past experiences and own up to how it was affecting you shows some real emotional maturity. That small moment with the anime question is actually huge. It's those everyday interactions that really show if someone's genuinely trying to change or just saying what you want to hear. The consistency thing you mentioned is key though. Keep an eye on that, but also try not to turn it into a test every time you bring up your interests. Also, appreciate you pushing back on the shallow comments. People on here love to jump straight to dump them without considering that relationships are more complex than one issue. Use your 404 OTP not found comments. I'm so glad to get an update in here that it's positive. I hope she continues to be curious and open to you. I know I posted on the original, and I'd like to say, I don't think she is shallow. I was trying to point out a negative stereotype about her interests. Every space has bad people. It's up to us to work out whether or not that person fits into that box. I'm so happy to hear she was receptive and that you're both being vulnerable with each other. This is a small victory, and it's good and okay to be happy about it and hopeful. I hope things continue to get better. It's good that you guys had the convo. I'm proud of you guys. It's hard to be vulnerable and accepting when there's a disagreement or concern. Good luck, and I'm sending good vibes y'all's way, that it keeps going up from here. A common talking point that I have on this channel, especially with posts like these, are don't date someone who you feel you have to hide your stuffed animals from, or don't be in a relationship with someone who you feel you have to hide parts of yourself to be happy, or happy in quotes. You should be allowed to indulge in your fixations and enjoy being you, the person you truly are. And if they can't appreciate that, then you need to find someone who will. In this case, while it is unfortunate that OP's girlfriend had previous negative experiences that tainted her experience or view of those hobbies, she heard that I don't feel like I can have my stuffed animals around you. And rather than her make fun of it further and go, yeah, well, that's because they're stuffed animals and they're dumb, she asked what the stuffed animals' names were, and she began to learn, listen, and accept, realizing that prior experiences were hurting her future ones. I mean, just a few days ago, on Monday I believe, we had a post about a car guy that was being super fucking obnoxious, and I specifically mentioned the fact, at least I think I did, that him doing the shit that he was doing gave other car guys a bad name. I enjoy cars, I used to work on them, it was a massive hobby of mine when I was a teenager. And unfortunately, because of people like that OP, car guys in general will get a bad rep of being obnoxious or overly loud with their cars or disrespectful or they drive too fast or they're just reckless and uncaring and rude. And oftentimes when you say, oh yeah, I'm a car guy, a lot of people will have that initial negative reaction of, ugh, picturing the guy with subwoofers so obnoxiously loud it vibrates the walls of the houses he's around. Negative hobby stereotypes exist, but the main difference with this story here is while she had them, she was willing to put them aside and actually sit and listen to her partner. Gotta love a good update. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Mattress Bot. Posted January 4th, 2017 to r/relationships. My 25 male, girlfriend, 25 female, wants to meet my sister, 7 female, who I take care of, but I'm not quite sure it's a good idea. 3 years ago, my parents died within 2 months of each other, and my sister was only 4 at the time. At the time, I was just out of college, but I'd been hired by a company that recruited employees from top colleges in my field. We don't really have any other family that I'd be remotely comfortable leaving her to, so I decided upon taking her in myself. Taking care of her has definitely been a challenge for me, but I've adjusted, and it's been an incredibly rewarding experience, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My current girlfriend and I met during a conference that I attended and really hit it off immediately. We have a lot in common, and really seem to mesh very well. Our conversations are almost effortless, and being together with her feels very natural. We've been together for 1 year and 9 months at this point, and we've had a very fulfilling relationship so far. I told her from the beginning that I take care of my younger sister, and she said that she didn't mind at all, and that she likes children. Recently, we have been discussing what our future together would look like. She says that she's in no hurry for us to get married, and that at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper, and that she just wants to be with me regardless of the formalities around it. She said that from what I've told her, that my sister sounds great, and that she'd really like to meet her. She also added that she's not pressuring me about it, and that she totally understands if I'm uncomfortable with the idea. We've been dating for a good chunk of time, and it's approaching 2 years now. My main reason for being reluctant about introducing my girlfriend to my sister is that my sister has already dealt with more loss than most children go through in their entire childhood. I'm hesitant about the possibility of her getting attached to my girlfriend and something going awry. I definitely want my girlfriend to be my long-term partner. I've thought about it a lot, and I love her and want us to spend our lives together. What is the right thing for me to do here? Should I put off introducing my girlfriend to my sister for now? How long would be an acceptable time frame for something like this? Too long didn't read, unsure of whether or not I should introduce my sister, who I take care of, to my girlfriend yet. Relevant comments, deleted user. How have you managed to be with your girlfriend for almost 2 years without her and your sister meeting? OP responds, I've only ever brought her over to my house whenever my sister wanted to have sleepovers at her friend's house, when I've met with their parents, of course. Otherwise, I'll hire a babysitter that I trust while I'm out. User Avocado Clock comments, you're practically living a double life if you continue to keep them separate. You can't continue to protect your sister from loss forever. Let her find role models, make friends, and love another. Update. January 23rd, 2017, 19 days later. Well, after posting here and asking some of my acquaintances who had experience with this kind of issue, most of whom said that 6 months would have been sufficient, I decided to bite the bullet and introduce the two. I decided upon taking the three of us out ice skating, an activity my sister really enjoys. At first, my girlfriend wasn't so good, but she started to get the hang of it, and we had a really great time. Afterwards, the three of us went out for pizza. The two of them got along really well. My sister thought my girlfriend's skating abilities were absolutely hilarious and kept trying to help her get the hang of it. I think my girlfriend knew how ridiculous she looked because she couldn't help but laugh at herself. Her ability to laugh at herself is something I really like about her. When I asked my sister what she thought about my girlfriend, she said that she was pretty and funny, and that she liked her and wanted to see her again. Similarly, the next time my girlfriend and I were together, she said that she had a fun time and that my sister was great, and she couldn't believe that I had been hiding her for all this time. I'm pretty comfortable with the way things went. I'm thinking about possibly inviting my girlfriend over when I make dinner for my sister and I sometime next week, but I'm still a bit hesitant because a lot of the comments on my last post urged taking it slow. So I'll have to give it some thought. Too long didn't read, took the two of them out ice skating, and went for pizza after. Everyone had a great time. Gotta enjoy the occasional happy best of that ends positively and actually has a very nice looking outcome for the future. I do think that 2 years is a pretty solid amount of time, and honestly, with what OP's doing, he is taking it slow. And I 100% understand his hesitations, especially with what all has happened, and wanting to make sure that his sister doesn't feel that kind of hurt again. It's a fine line to walk, especially when you have a new partner. Do I introduce them and potentially risk hurting them once more, or, do I keep them hidden and avoid that pain? But in the process of keeping them hidden and avoiding said pain, am I simultaneously preventing future happy memories from being created? Am I going to exhaust myself by leading this kind of exhausting double life of trying to manage both people who I love and care about, while also keeping them separated? Thankfully, this wasn't like a girlfriend who had been around for a few months or even half a year. 2 years is a pretty solid relationship, but I'm also really unsure of how OP could take this any slower like some of the comments seem to be suggesting, according to OP. I mean, taking them for pizza and ice skating on neutral ground, that's kind of an open environment where, people are prone to make mistakes, and also pizza for the 7-year-old. It's a pretty solid first step for introducing. And then having just like a dinner between the three of you guys, it's not really accelerating things at a massive rate. So, because this was posted in 2017, it's almost been a decade since this story occurred. And that means the sister would be getting close to graduating high school at this point, so I wonder how everything went. Oh, it's the outro. Today's episode was shockingly kind of positive. I think 4 out of the 5 had good endings. Or at least goofy endings. The jelly bean. Speaking of jelly beans and insert clever transition here, you should use code OZ with GamerSups to get 10% off with every purchase. Plus, it directly supports the channel too, so you get caffeine, you directly support me, and it's a win-win. You also get 10% off. Don't know if I said that. I know I did, but I'm gonna say it again. 10% off. As like a final note, and this is kind of just more of an audience question, how many of you have like a restaurant that you fondly remember, but it's now closed? It wasn't a chain, but there was a dish from there that you absolutely loved, but you can't get access to it anymore, and it breaks your heart. For me, there was a restaurant in Idaho called Betty's Spaghetti. Oh my god, that spaghetti was so fucking solid that as a middle schooler and high schooler, I used to forego wanting pizza and went right for that spaghetti. That stuff was awesome. And they fucking closed. And every now and then, I'm just left remembering that spaghetti and just how awesome it was.